Hey, what you reading for?
Earlier this week, I put out a video, Top 10 Horror for Smart People. And the reaction to that video was phenomenal, very positive. However, many viewers commented, Michael, how about a video, Top 10 Horror for Dumb People? Which I thought was strange. I mean, the subscribers of this channel are intelligent people, intelligent readers, and smart horror fans, right? I found that puzzling. Then it occurred to me, of course, the viewers of this channel are kind, empathetic people. Of course, they have friends. Some of them are dumb, and they want to encourage their dumb friends to read and encourage them to read horror. So, of course, the top 10 horror for dumb people, so they can have recommendations for their dumb friends. Now, I always listen to my subscribers, and I'm very happy to take requests. So I got to thinking about horror books for dumb people. And the problem I immediately ran into was that because I am a highly intelligent person, right? If I think a book is for dumb people, chances are I'm not going to like it. And I don't want to put out a list of books I don't like. I want this channel to be positive, right? So what I'm going to give you today in this video is top 10 books that are clearly for dumb people. However, some of them are a lot of fun. If you set your expectations right, you can go in with a lot of fun. And some are just simple stories, a few characters, easy reads, and are compelling. But some of these books, unfortunately, I was not able to adjust my expectations, and I did not really enjoy them. But they are clearly books for dumb people. It's quite likely that there will be a book or books on this list that you have read, perhaps books that you have enjoyed as well. Now, does that mean that I am suggesting that you are a dumb person? My goodness, no, I'm not suggesting that. I think what that means is that you are an empathetic person and open-minded, and you have a great capacity to adjust your expectations and meet a book on its own merits. Something that I'm struggling to do. I do try, but I don't always succeed. You apparently are much more skilled at that. It's an important skill to have because, let's face it, there are a lot of horror books written for dumb people. It's also quite possible that you are going to disagree with my opinions. You're going to say, hey, wait a second, Michael, that book is not for dumb people. And you may be tempted to get onto the comment section and tell me just how wrong I am. And please do not resist that temptation. Get onto the comment section and let me have it if you disagree with me. I welcome feedback. I love it when my opinions are challenged. You're not going to convince me to change my opinion, to agree with you, because then we'd both be wrong, and that's not helpful, right? But I do welcome, the feedback and the pushback and the criticism. I love it. I will try to be respectful with this potentially sensitive topic of horror books for dumb people. I won't try that hard, though, to be honest. I mean, I'll make an effort, but it'll be a small effort. I figure I'm just sharing my opinions, which are based on my own experiences and my mindset at the time I was reading the book. I figure if people are going to get upset about someone sharing their opinions about a book, that's probably not very healthy. I am going to make an effort, but it's going to be a tiny effort. So, with all that out of the way, let's cue John Adams with the intro music, and I will see you on the other side for my top 10 horror for dumb people. At number 10 on my list of top 10 horror for dumb people, Come Closer by Sarah Gran. If you would like a book to recommend for your dumb friend, Come Closer is the horror book for dumb people. It's short, it's about 120 pages or so, large print. Now, I have poor eyesight, so I also appreciate the large print. Setting, character descriptions, character art, character motivation, all that ivory tower nonsense. This book has none of that. There is one reference to a woman who has red hair and another reference to a woman who has black hair. That's it. And if your dumb friend misses that, it's okay. It's that those references are repeated several times. In fact, everything in this book is repeated several times, which is exactly what you want from a horror book for dumb people. I personally did not like this book. I failed to adjust my expectations when I went into it. The book hits one note and stays on that note throughout the entire story, and that didn't work on me at all. But many people have liked this book. In fact, I want to share an excerpt with you from a 5-star review. Wow! I don't think that I have any words that can describe this book. So you see, people do like this book. Unfortunately, dumb people often don't have words to describe things. That's one of the side effects of being dumb. But you could see from the review, it was 5 stars, right? So, an enthusiastic 5 stars. At number 9, Hell House by Richard Matheson. This book is well written. It is well paced. For the intelligent reader, if you set your expectations accordingly, I think the intelligent reader can have a lot of fun with this book because it's bonkers, over the top silliness. And it's well executed for that. The story unfolds in one closed-in location, the titular Hell House. There are a few characters, 5 or 6 characters in the entire story, so there's not much to keep track of, right? And the horror, the threat, comes from a ghost. You can't get any dumber than that, right? Yes, you can get dumber than that, because the heroes, the people fighting the ghost, the protagonist, right? They are all psychics. It's a festival of dumb. The book has fun with its premise. It doesn't take itself too seriously. So if you're in the mood for some cheesy, very 1970s silliness, you take this book, turn off your brain and dive in, right? And for the dumb reader, they've done half of that already. They just have to dive in. It's perfect. At number 8, Autorat by Christopher Golden. Now this book won the Bram Stoker Award for Best Horror Novel of the Year for 2017. So it's an award-winning horror book for dumb people, which is nice. It's not badly written, as long as you don't think about the plot or the characters or the premise. You could potentially have a good time with this one. It might even be one of those books that's so bad it's good kind of thing. Depends on your frame of mind when reading it. The book opens with an avalanche on Mount Ararat. And this avalanche breaks off a piece of the mountain to reveal a cave. A cave where some people think that might harbor the remains of Noah's Ark. So right out of the gate, the book lets you know that it's a book for dumb people, which is nice. We have a team of adventurers / archaeologists / documentary filmmakers. They don't believe in the existence of Noah's Ark, but they decide to head out and climb the mountain anyway, just because if there is Noah's Ark there, that would make for a great documentary, right? Now you're probably thinking, well, if they don't believe in Noah's Ark, why would they set out to try to find it? See, that's the kind of thing that you want to avoid when you're reading this book. Just don't worry about it. Just do what the characters do and simply head for the mountains. Everything will be fine. So they get to the mountain, and the book does a good job of putting the reader on the mountain and giving us the experience of the thrills of climbing the mountains. That was well done, I thought. And we get to the cave, and inside the cave are the remains of an ark. And in those remains are the remains of a mummified humanoid figure. And that humanoid figure is a demon. And this demon, he or it has the ability to jump into people's minds, and it hops around from mind to mind like some zany cartoon bunny, right? And there are rules as to how the demon can hop around minds, and there are rules to how the characters can prevent the demon from entering their mind, right? Now, the rules aren't always respected, which for the dumb reader, that creates like an unexpected plot twist, which can be cool, right? At number 7, The Devil in Grey by Graham Masterton. This is a fun book, very tropey. We have a hard-boiled cop. His wife has recently died, and so he's bitter, and he has nothing to live for. He has a death wish, but he still can't help hitting on every woman he comes into contact with because he's a hard-boiled ladies' man with a death wish. We have a Civil War soldier that comes back as a ghost to brutally slay people. The whole story takes place in a few days, so there isn't really much time to stop and think about things, which is good because there are enormous plot holes all over the place. It doesn't matter. This book is just trying to have fun and kill a lot of people, and it accomplishes both of those objectives, I think. You might need to know some things about the U.S. Civil War, but the book does not expect the reader to know anything, so it explains everything that's needed quite clearly, and more than once as well, which is nice. The kill scenes are very well done. It's action-packed, and if you're in the mood for some tropey fun, this one works, and you don't need to think about it when you're reading it. At number 6, Mama by Ruby Jean Jensen. Toys in the attic come to life, and they want to kill the family that has just moved into the house. Sounds fun, right? And it is fun, I think. The whole story, or pretty much the entire story, takes place in that house, and there are only really 4 characters. There are 4 other characters that make a short appearance, but they don't stay longer than one scene. So there's not much to keep track of here. It's pretty tame in terms of the horror, and there's not a high body count either. But it's a decent read. It's an easy read, and it's fun as well. Why or how do the toys come to life? You don't need to worry about that. They come to life and they want to kill the family. That's it. But the toys are really small and they move very slowly. Wouldn't that be an easy threat to overcome? Again, don't worry about it. Toys come to life. They want to kill the family. That's it. The premise is simple. There's very little thinking required here. The book does a good job, I think, playing to emotions as well, addressing some emotional concepts such as loss and dealing with loss and grief. And it does this quite well without hitting you over the head with it. It's a decent read. I had fun with it. I talk about this book more in depth in my 1980s retrospective, 1983, The Year in Horror. You can check that out if you'd like. At number 5, Carrie by Stephen King. Now this is a book that I really liked. One thing I really liked about this book is the way that it is constructed. You see, the story is told twice. The first time is with a third-person narrator who takes us through the events in a more or less chronological order. And then the story is given to us a second time, but this time it's after the events. A few characters with the help of media such as newspaper articles and police reports, they look back on the events. So we get the story twice, which is great if for some reason you missed it. And I have read reviews of some readers who were frustrated with this, who did not like this, the way the novel is constructed. That is one thing I really liked about this book, because we get an interesting story, and we get Carrie the person, and then we get Carrie the myth, the legend. And I think the two put together like that, it created a compelling and interesting, unique way to tell a story, and it really worked on me. There is no subtlety at all in this book, which is great if you're for the dumb reader, right? I mean, the evil mother, she is super evil, and then the bullies at the school, there's no nuance there. It's just extremes everywhere. And the simplicity, or the extreme of it, and the lack of subtlety, I think it works to the story's advantage. Actually, it doesn't detract from the story, to the contrary, at least in my experience. And for the dumb reader who misses the story the first time, and they miss the story the second time, they could just watch the movie by Brian De Palma, which is excellent. In fact, there are 2 movie adaptations, a made-for-TV movie, and there was a horrendous Broadway musical made from it as well. That would be difficult to find nowadays, but it did exist, albeit for a very brief time. At number 4, another Stephen King book, The Long Walk from 1979. A bunch of teenage boys, they go on the long walk, which means that they walk on a road for a long time, covering a long distance. There are soldiers who follow them, and if any boy stops walking, that boy is shot and he dies. And the long walk ends when there's only one boy still walking. That's it. Simple premise. It never deviates at all from that. They walk. If they stop, they get shot. That's it. But why would they? No, you don't need to worry about the why. They walk. If they stop, they get shot. That's it. What are the societal factors that could lead to such a dystopian universe? It's a good question, but that's for other books. This book is boys walking on a road. If they stop walking, they get shot. That's it. Nothing else. So the boys, they get together and they try to defeat the soldiers and run away? No. The boys, they walk. If they stop, they get shot. That's it. And despite its simple premise, I thought it was effective. It was actually a gripping read. It was never boring, and it's a fun horror book. Unless you're one of those elitist people who want horror books to have endings. Now they walk. If they stop, they get shot. The long walk ends when there's only one boy still walking. It delivers exactly what it promises. At number 3, Zombie by Joyce Carol Oates. Joyce Carol Oates, but isn't she the highly regarded award-winning writer? Yeah, that's the one, Joyce Carol Oates. And she wrote a horror book, Zombie. And it won the Bram Stoker Award for Best Horror Novel of the Year back in 1995. And it's a great book for dumb people. It's short. It's about 170 pages with pictures. It's essentially the diary of a loser serial killer. So there's really only one character to follow. And there's not much to him. He's a loser and he enjoys killing people. A great book for dumb people. It's not a bad book. It's easy to read. And the dumb person, they have quite a sense of accomplishment because they read a book by Joyce Carol Oates, the whole book. Wow, nicely done. You're not so dumb after all. At number 2 on my list of top 10 horror for dumb people, Another classic from the 1970s, The Godsend by Bernard Taylor. This is a pretty good killer kid book. And it's a great book for dumb people because this book essentially, early on, it gives you the entire plot, the entire story. It gives it to you in a very simple parable taken from nature. The parable of the cuckoo bird. More precisely, the brood parasitism of some species of cuckoos, where the cuckoo bird lays its egg in another bird's nest. The cuckoo egg hatches before the other eggs, and it evicts the other eggs from the nest so that it can take all the attention and all the food for itself from the host. So this anecdote is told to us, and then the story plays out in a human family. A girl shows up to this family's house. The family consists of a mother, father, one son, and two daughters. And this girl, she stays the night, during which she delivers a baby girl. And by morning, she's gone. So the baby girl, she grows up and she kills off the other children in this family, right? And the whole story stays focused and stays within this family. And after the death of each child, the chapter ends and we skip all that stuff about the investigations from authorities, all the grieving, all these complicated things that could interrupt the story. And we just jump ahead a few months or a few years and then we kill another kid and so forth. We skip all that complicated stuff and get just the cuckoo parable played out by humans. It's not bad, maybe a bit silly, with a very goofy ending. But because of the tight, limited storytelling and the cuckoo parable, it's a great book for dumb people. And the reader is treated very much like a blind baby bird in its nest, head up, beak open wide, while the mother bird comes and delivers the food and deposits it pre-chewed right into the beak. Speaking of birds, at number 1 on my top 10 horror for dumb people, Bird Box by Josh Malerman. You know when you give a book to your dumb friend and they start reading it, and then all of a sudden they get really angry and they start crying and start throwing things and shouting like, whoa, what's wrong, my dumb friend? And they wipe their eyes and they point an angry finger at the book and they say, look at this sentence, it has so many words and it takes up so many lines, and look how big the paragraph is, and the chapter goes on page after page after page. Why did you give me this book to read? Why are you being mean to me? I thought you were my friend. That's not fair. I mean, you're not being mean. You're trying to be helpful. You're trying to give them a nice reading experience. What you should do in that case, to avoid that problem, is give that dumb friend Bird Box. They take Bird Box, they open it up, and the first thing they see is a little stick figure drawing of a bird. Oh, that's nice. And the chapter, it doesn't begin until like halfway, even more than halfway down the page. And it's big print too. So all they have to do is read a few lines and they've already read the first page. And they're feeling good. They turn the page and it's just one page of text, really, really short sentences, short paragraphs. And then on the other side, there's probably maybe 2 or 3 lines. And then you get that drawing of the bird again. And that's the chapter. So they very quickly and very easily, they read the chapter and they're feeling pretty good about themselves. It's a book that is perfectly designed for a dumb reader, right? In fact, it looks like a proper thick novel, but in fact, like the last 25% of the book is really the opening chapter for Josh Malerman's next book. It's like a preview, right? It's like an advertisement, actually. And so really it's just a short story stretched to look like a novel. Now, I did not have a good experience with this book. I failed to adapt to it and to change my expectations as I was reading. And a part of the reason for that, a big part of that reason, is I had paid, I don't remember, 15 euros, 12 euros for the book. And I felt ripped off because, you know, a third of the book is just a preview for another book. And it's very clear that it's really a short story that is stretched to look like a novel and to charge the customer for a novel. But it's not a novel, it's a short story. So I felt cheated. I felt ripped off, and that's a terrible way to introduce a story to a reader. But I will give the book credit because it's clearly written and presented, packaged for dumb people. And I'll give it credit that it does make an effort. It does try to help the reader make this adjustment. Because I felt like I was getting dumber the more I read it, you know? But I'm stubborn and I refused to adjust. No, you're ripping me off and this story is stupid. And I failed to adjust, but some people, they were more successful, and some people actually did like the book. I suspect that they're not all of them are dumb people, although I don't really have the data to back up that claim, just a theory. So there you have it, my list of top 10 horror books for dumb people. A list I made by request. Do you have any other requests, any other lists that you would like for me to make? I'm very happy to take requests if they're good ideas, or if they're bad ideas. I'm not that discerning, apparently. Do you have any experience with the books that I talked about today? Perhaps you had a different experience, you have a different opinion. I would love to hear that. Perhaps there's a book that I missed, an obvious, horror book for dumb people that should have been on my list that it didn't make it. And I hope that I didn't upset any readers. I'm sure that our opinions differ, which is normal. But I am curious to hear if there aren't any viewers I upset that say, Michael, why didn't you include one of your horror books? Those are books for dumb people. Why didn't you include any of those? That's a fair point, yeah. That would have been a bit narcissistic, though, to include my own books on the list. And I am trying to cut down on the narcissism, or at least hide it a little bit better than I have been recently. I'm trying. I'm not always successful, but I am trying. There it is. Thank you for watching. I look forward to reading your comments, and I'll see you at the next video.